On today's show, KD and the Suns get it done against the Clippers, and the Magic destroy the Heat. We'll talk about that, Dejounte Murray's injury, and more on tonight's Game 9.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before, only on Locked On NBA Game Night. Your team every day.
And welcome. You're locked on to the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being an everydayer, making Locked On NBA your first listen today. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you get $200 in bonus bets to get started. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And joining me, as always, from the great Locked On Bucks show, what you got for me, Camille Davis?
The Bucks are 1-0. I feel good. You cannot ask for a better start to the season than 1-0, so I'm feeling good.
You can't ask for a better start than not playing a real team.
Oh, don't do us like that.
It was like a homecoming. It was like a homecoming game where they scheduled the team.
Stall us out, Nick. Stall us out.
We'll talk about those Bucks like we do on game night every night. We'll talk about every single game tonight. We'll go through the entire slate, 10 games on the slate in the NBA. We'll talk about Dejounte Murray's injury. That one is a big one for the New Orleans Pelicans. We'll talk about the Hornets getting a win against the Rockets in Houston. That was a good one. And our Locked On Grizzlies host thinks that the Grizzlies have the best backcourt in the NBA. We'll get into all that and more, but let's start here with the Phoenix Suns getting a win against the Los Angeles Clippers. The first game at Intuit Dome meant a lot to the Clippers fans. The wall was there. It looked like the wall was affecting free throw percentages at the beginning of this game, but the Suns get the win 116-113 in overtime. KD goes off in overtime. Booker fouls out on the Clippers side. Terrence Mann fouls out. Zubats fouls out. But KD got it done in overtime. And it was great to see KD and Harden just like go back and forth again.
Man, it was so fun seeing that. It's always interesting seeing guys later on in their career when they've made a few different stops at this point. They used to be teammates. Now they're going up against each other. They're battling. You love to see that. One thing I did not love to see was how passive Devin Booker was throughout this game. Like, he was still looking like Olympic Book.
9 shots.
I needed him to look more like Suns Book. Like, he was still kind of deferring to KD, deferring to other teammates. But I want to see Book get to it. I want to see that more from him.
That butt was a Freudian slip. That was a Freudian slip because that's how he played tonight at time. Yeah, 5 of 9 from the field. Took 5 threes. They tried to take a bunch of threes. That's the one thing that we kept hearing about this Suns team is that they wanted to take a ton of threes. They took 38 in this game, 38 of their 78 shots. And so their offense a little bit different. They did try to take a bunch of threes. Everybody in their starting 5 took at least 4, and most of them 5. So they changed that up. But yeah, Booker fouls out in this one. Durant, 7 turnovers, 0 assists in this game. Just a weird ball handling, like decision-making night. Fell down a bunch of times, it felt like, at the end of that game. But got buckets when they needed to. The Suns were down by 9. The Clippers were up 9 with just under 4 minutes to go. The Suns made a decision that I think is really interesting and a decision that the Suns are going to have to make a bunch of times this season. They take out Nurkic. They're down 9. They take out Nurkic. They go on an 11-0 run with KD at the 5. What do you think about that KD at the 5 lineup, and how sustainable is that for them long-term this season?
I think it's good for like a change-up punch when it comes to the lineup for the Suns. It's not something you want to lean on too heavily, but I think against the right lineups, it works for them. Like, for example, against the Clippers tonight, where it's like you're not looking to go against too much size against this Clippers team.
Zubats was still in?
I mean... Yeah,
that's a big dude. Have you ever stood next to him? That's a big dude.
No, I've never stood next to him, but you can kind of withstand that because what KD's going to do is he's going to bring him out too. So you're going to have a mismatch defensively on the other side, which helps. But I think it's a nice change of pace for the Suns. And also, just to go back to your point about the 3-point percentages, knew that was coming with Bud coming into town. Yeah, I saw that. I mean, listen, I know about some Bud basketball, and I saw in the first half, 62% of the shots the Suns took were from 3. Like, they got the memo. They're gonna let it fly.
It's gonna be a different Suns offense. And the Suns offense was already good last year, and they had Tyus Jones, who getting him on a minimum, somebody that covers a team in the Western Conference, it's just unfair. To watch Tyus Jones be there for a minimum. He was great. Let's get 35 minutes for him. He had 11 points, 8 assists. On the Durant point, though, he's 36 years old. He played 43 minutes in this game and then played at center at the end of this game. Like, I'm just wondering how long KD can last playing minutes like this, because it does not seem sustainable. But the Suns get the win. On the Clippers side of things, what did you think? What are your first impressions of the wall? You like the wall?
I loved it.
I was kind of buying into it at the end.
It looks cool on TV, especially when the game really started turning up at the end and you saw the fans really getting into it. I was like, this looks smooth. I'm a fan of it.
I liked it. I do like it. I think that it makes every game feel like it's important, and I think that that's something that the NBA really, really needs. And if Steve Ballmer can pay those people in cheaper tickets and pay them in in like a community. And I was also sitting there thinking, I was watching this game, I was like, you know what? He basically like discounted these people's tickets and like incentivized them to be part of a community, which is what we all want to be. Like, all of us that cover sports, that love sports, that watch sports, all of you watching and listening that love sports, you just want to be part of a community. And like Steve Ballmer kind of created that with this. I know our host of Locked On Clippers, Darian Vaziri, is very into it out there.
He was on this. They showed him on ESPN. Yeah. Like, he was in the crowd. I saw him. I was like, oh, look at him.
I saw a picture of him. He was eating like a piece of pizza or something. He was like scarfing something down. But yeah, on the Clippers side, James Harden almost got it done. 10 of 28 from the field, 35%. But seeing him take 28 shots, score 29 points, 8 assists, like, it felt like vintage Harden again, although 8 turnovers. But they didn't get the win. Team that did get the win, the Orlando Magic against the Heat. I had this game on in the corner, right? This was a game that I had listed as like, all right, these are two probably pretty good teams this season going up against each other. And all of a sudden, like, it was a 4-point game at halftime, and all of a sudden the Magic were up by like 30 or 25 or something like that. They went on this huge run in the third quarter. They end up going on a 39-18 third quarter advantage. And let's hear about that game.
Off-season, all throughout training camp, the Orlando Magic talked the talk. They told us they were going to be a more mature team, that they were going to be ready to compete at the top of the Eastern Conference, that they were going to be a better team than they were last year. Tonight, on opening night, the Magic walked the walk. That was the message Goga Bitadze gave to Paolo Banchero, and Paolo delivered with 33 points, scoring the most points in an opening night game since Shaquille O'Neal back in 1993. This was a historic performance for the Orlando Magic, and one that clearly says this team is ready to make noise in the Eastern Conference. They came to Miami, a place they have not won since, I believe, 2019, and took home a huge victory over an in-state and division rival. But more than that, the Magic got to the suffocating defense that is the calling card of this team, the thing that is going to make this team successful. They showed everyone not only that they can win, but how they're going to win and how they're going to beat you. There's still a lot to clean up, but this was an impressive victory for the Magic.
That is the host of Locked On Magic, Philip Rossman, right there in the arena. On the Pat Riley court, by the way, at halftime. They did a whole like ceremony for Pat Riley. But on the Magic side, Paolo Banchero was great in this game, and yeah, scored the most points since almost before like I was born in an opener for the Magic. Just an impressive win, an impressive defensive stand in the third quarter for them.
A lot of times when you look at plus minus and like you take it with a grain of salt, right? But when you look at Paolo Banchero was a plus 42,
doing something right.
That's ridiculous. The way that the Magic took off in the second half was impressive. Like, they outscored the Heat 39-18 in that third quarter. The Magic only missed 7 field goals. They were 14-21 from the field in the third quarter. It was like everything was clicking for them offensively, and they were smothering the Heat defensively. I saw after the game, Tyler Hero said, like, I believe in our offense. We're good. Second half, we just didn't focus on the details. And I'm like, what kind of details were you missing to get blown out like that in the second half?
Yeah, the details to me for the Heat are that Bam took 5 shots and that Jimmy Butler took 8, and they both only made 1 each between the two of them. Like, that was the details to me. And what it looked like to me, the reason why the Heat couldn't get any good shots going in that is that the backcourt, Suggs, who only played 12 minutes in this game, and KCP, like, that backcourt just smothers at the point of attack. It is really hard to get any offense going when you have those two guys really like stopping anything that you're trying to initiate at that point.
That's a great point to point out. And I think what sucks too, he got in foul trouble early in that game. He picked up 3 really quick. So that messed up the rotations for the Magic in this one. But when that second half came around, he was able to really get out there and you could see the havoc that the two of them can cause in the backcourt, which is again why I love this KCP pickup for the Magic because he fits in defensively and he gives them something offensively. Although tonight he was 0 for 5 from 3. 0 for 5 from 3. The 3 wasn't falling for him today, but it didn't need to because Paolo 50% from 3. Franz was 50% from 3. So like they were able to get some shots up. Plus they were able to generate so much pressure on Miami that they were able to roll off of the turnovers and the missed shots from them.
I love how you say Franz. Franz. Gary Harris, by the way, 18 points, 6 of 9 from 3 off the bench in a game. Well, by the way, Gary Harris and KCP, both former like Nuggets shooting guards on the Magic. Like they just keep sending them over there. But really good win for the Magic, I thought, against the Heat and in their building against the Heat, an in-state rival and all that. Coming up, let's talk about Dejounte Murray. He goes down with a weird hand injury. It is an actual fracture now, it's reported. We'll talk about what that means for the Pelicans and more coming up. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Game Time. We're talking about the games, so go to some of these games. Go check out and see what's available at Game Time. I check them out all the time because right now, if you are looking at Mavs against the Spurs on Thursday night here, it's only $51, and you can go and you can get $20 off if you use the promo code LOCKEDONNBA if that's your first purchase. So create an account, download the app, use the code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. If you download Game Time, there's all kinds of other stuff too. There's comedy, concerts, theater. I've used Game Time for every single one of these. In Dallas, where I am right now, there's a Pink concert coming up in November. You can get tickets to that. Shakira, all kinds of different things. Things I don't even know what these are. Oh, the Wild Kratts. I used to watch Kratts Creatures all the time as a kid. They're coming to Dallas. You can go check out that and so much more at Game Time. Again, download the app. Use that code LOCKEDONNBA. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA Game Night. Being an everyday or listening every day, we have a daily Locked On show that covers your team. Check the link in the description to find a show that covers your team every day, like Locked On Bucks, Locked On Mavs, and more. All right, Camille, we're breaking down all the games from the night. Let's talk about Bulls at Pelicans. Pelicans end up winning this game. Jake Madison, Locked On Pelicans, sent me this very nice post-game, reaction video where he talked about Yves Missi and how he had a great game, the rookie center for them. And it was nice to see a big man like step up for them and all that. And then after the game, we get this report that the Pelicans fear that Dejounte Murray has a fracture in his hand. He plays 30 minutes in this game and plays through it, apparently. Plays through this. Doesn't even realize what it was. And after the game, they've now confirmed that it is, according to Shams Charania of ESPN, they've confirmed that it is a fracture for Dejounte Murray. Isaiah Hartenstein is out 5 to 6 weeks with his fracture. We're not exactly sure how long Dejounte's out, but if he's out for a month, he's missing like 16 games. Camille, what does that mean for the Pelicans?
It's going to put them in a tough spot here. I mean, one thing about this Pelicans team is that when you look at their bench and it's like, who can come in and replace Dejounte Murray? It's like, you're looking at your options. You're like, not feeling necessarily great about many of those options to come in because the Pelicans were leaning so heavily on Dejounte and Herb Jones kind of forming like their defensive backbone, right? You take him out and you're missing a big piece of that. Like offensively, he got off to a rough start in this game, didn't finish the game shooting the best from the field, but what he was able to do defensively and with his playmaking to set up his teammates, it just did them a lot of good. So now you're moving some more pieces around. This is a team that was already small. Not that he's a big guy, but when you have a strong point of attack defender, that helps by not letting many people get past you to the rim. So it's going to be a blow for the Pelicans for sure to be without Dejounte.
It's weird because it's like they needed that point guard to kind of set up. Like that's one of the things they wanted because they've gone without really. They've had like Jose Alvarado and that's kind of it. And then they've used like Zion at point, Ingram at point, CJ McCollum at point, and they've tried that. Now they get a point guard, and then now they'll lose this point guard. Right. And they were going to play Herb Jones at center when Zion plays, but they didn't. They started Daniel Tice because Zion was out with a sickness in this game. And so now I think they probably just stretch that lineup out again and go without a point guard for a while again. They probably, CJ probably shifts down a little bit. Herb Jones, Ingram, Zion take a lot of the ball handling responsibilities there. Yeah, they're going to miss him on offense, even though he didn't shoot that well in this game, but had 10 assists. He definitely impacted the game on that end. And
yeah, he did. And they're without Trey Murphy right now too.
Yeah.
So it's like they're just really thin right now, which is not the way you want to start the season, especially in the West when every game means so much. You cannot really try to lose pace in the West with how competitive it is. So it's going to be tough for them to overcome that with the injuries they're facing early on. But hopefully the illness that Zion's facing isn't nothing that's too severe, because to your point about him being point center, point power forward, whatever you want to call him.
I don't know.
Right, point Zion, they're going to need that from him. They're going to need that playmaking in addition to his scoring output.
Yeah, I'm just curious if they can stay. Like, they just got to stay above water at this point with these injuries. 16 games, if that's how many he misses, it could be 17, 18. Like that's a long time in the West to miss a bunch of games. If they drop a bunch of those games, then they could already be in a hole that's really hard to dig out unless everybody comes back healthy at the same time. They go on a run like what the Mavs did last year, or they just go on a run at the end of the season. So that's what the Pelicans are looking at right now. One of the best games of the night, I thought, was the Rockets against the Hornets. The Rockets at home. Let's hear from Doug Branson, our great host from Locked On Hornets. We're talking about the Hornets on Locked On NBA.
Crazy season opening win for the Charlotte Hornets. 110-105 your final score. 34 points, 11 assists, 8 rebounds for LaMelo Ball. His first game back since January of this year. And 24.6 rebounds for Trey Mann as well, continuing a hot start to his preseason. And the Hornets come back from 18 down. They were down 2 starters in Mark Williams and Josh Green to start the game. And then they lose arguably their best, at least shooting weapon in Brandon Miller for the entire second half. And yet LaMelo Ball willed this team to victory, got big plays from Grant Williams and Seth Curry as well. So big performances all around. Charles Lee, first-time head coach, gets his first win of the season, and in large part because LaMelo Ball is one of one. He's a freak.
You heard it there. LaMelo Ball, one of one player. It kind of was that, because at the end of this game, he said they were down 16 in the third quarter. It was tied with like a minute left. LaMelo with 2 minutes left throws like a pass to himself off the backboard, like a really bad shot that he just got his own rebound on. Hit that one. Charlotte went up 2 at that point, and then Charlotte gets an offensive rebound, and LaMelo Ball hits a 3 for the Hornets to go up 5 with 1:40 left. And it was just LaMelo making 2 plays in a row that just really turned the tide of this game. And it could be a big game for LaMelo, especially with Brandon Miller leaving. He just played 10 minutes of that hip injury.
Yeah, but Brandon Miller got that poster before he got out that game, though, which was beautiful to see. Beautiful to see. But I think with LaMelo, it's one of those things where because he's been hurt so often, people forget how good LaMelo is. He's a young guy with a lot of talent, like 50% from the field in this game. He was perfect from the free throw line. He was setting up his teammates. He had 11 assists. He had 8 rebounds, a near triple double for him. Like, when this team was facing that big hole, 18 down, they never gave up. And I think a key part in that too is just the shot creation from Trey Mann. Like, it's nice to have guys who can, score, spot up, catch and shoot. But when you got a guy who can go out there and get his own bucket, just put the ball in his hands and he's going to go get it. That is a skill set that every team needs. So for this Hornets team to have another young guy to be able to do that in addition to what LaMelo can do, that's building something special right there. It could be, at least.
Fourth quarter, right before those 2 LaMelo plays I talked about, Trey Mann, nasty step back 3 to tie the game. Then Trey Mann again, drive off the glass. And between the long shorts, the braids, and the headband, and the scoring, just pound for pound, I think he was the player that looked the most like Allen Iverson on the court in this game.
I'm waiting for the game when someone wants to look like TJ Ford. That's what I'm waiting
for. The huge shorts.
I need the huge shorts. We need to bring it all the way back around. And then double headbands like Tim Thomas. That's what I need in my life.
They also got the Hornets also got like the classic like Grant Williams experience as somebody who had Grant Williams on the Mavericks. Minute 20, Grant Williams gets beat by Jalen Green on that, and then very next play Grant Williams sets a bad screen. It's an offensive foul. But then on the other end, Grant Williams hits a three, and then he grabs the steal off of the Şengün turnover. Like 2 bad plays, 2 good plays, evened it out. Really good win for the Hornets, I thought. Win for your Bucks. I've been making fun of them a little bit, but they did get a win against the Sixers. No Embiid, no Paul George. And what did you see from the Bucks in this game?
I saw a team that was taking care of business. This is the Bucks team that was played sometimes last year when they would be against some shorthanded teams. The Memphis game comes to mind very first when they had an injury list longer than a CVS receipt, and they still found a way to lose that game. But this game here, seeing the Bucks come out, play some really solid defense, really make it difficult on Maxey, seeing Dame cook, seeing Giannis efficient in only 31 minutes, it's a good start to the season for the Bucks.
Absolutely a good start. On the other end, the Sixers, they made it really, really tough on Tyrese Maxey, and he was the only star playing because Embiid and Paul George were hurt. But what did the Bucks do to really contain him?
They had a lot of the strength at the point of attack. So Gary Trent Jr. and Taurean Prince were able to really exert their will physically on him at the point of attack. And when he finally did find a way to get to the rim, Brook Lopez was waiting for him or Giannis was waiting for him. Brook finished with 6 blocks in this game, and he had like 16 contested shots by ESPN count in the fourth quarter. So like Brook was everywhere affecting the play. So yeah, they made it difficult, and they were physical with Maxey. Everything was tough. Everything was going to be through contact, and he just didn't respond too well to it. Although some people might say he should have got a more friendly whistle, probably.
Go check out Locked On Sixers and Locked On Bucks to see which side agrees with which side of that whistle on this one. Coming up, it's Count It Up, where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA tonight. We'll go through the rest of the games on the schedule, including the Grizzlies at the Jazz. And our Locked On Grizzlies host, Joe Mullinax, thinks the Grizzlies have the best backcourt in the NBA. We'll discuss it coming up. Count It Up. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night brought to you by Prize Picks. Oh, the perfect show to be listening to talk about Prize Picks, because Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. All you have to do is go to Prize Picks, pick more or less than 2 to 6 players' stat projection. So you're looking at this slate of games like I was at the beginning of this night. And you go, all right, I'm looking at, how many points I think that KD is going to score, how many points I think Harden's going to score. I take the more or less on those. I combine that with a bunch of different ones. You can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. It's the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states. My state, Texas. You can play it here. You can play it in California, Florida, Georgia. The line probably between Florida and Georgia. You can play it there too. All kinds of places you can play Prize Picks. Go check it out. And right now, you can go and download the app, use the code LOCKEDONNBA, the name of the show, to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Put $5 on a lineup that you pick, and you can get $50 instantly after you play it. Go check it out. See what is available on Prize Picks. It changes all the time. It's not just NBA, all kinds of other things too. Again, check it out at prizepicks.com.
Big chicken, baby.
Zion Williamson and porn star.
Take that for that.
Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up.
It's Count It Up, where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA tonight. The Grizzlies got a win against the Jazz, and they kind of took them to the fourth quarter. Like, it was not like a blowout. It was not a blowout win for the Grizzlies, but John Morant had an insane finish on one of his plays. Here's Joe Mullinax from Locked On Grizzlies talking about the win for the Grizzlies.
Fun, right? It's fun to remember that basketball is supposed to be entertaining. It's supposed to be enjoyable. The Memphis Grizzlies are back and 1-0. Feels good to say that out loud. My name is Joe Mullinax. I am of Locked On Grizzlies, and it was a little bit closer than it probably needed to be. Memphis was up by as many as 17 points in this contest against the Utah Jazz, but Larry Markkinen and company were not going to make it easy on this opening night. The good news for the Memphis Grizzlies, they had the likes of Santi Aldama, who looked like the leader of Team Spain this past summer for the Memphis Grizzlies. It was nice of him to show up. The best backcourt in the NBA. Yeah, I said it. John Morant and Desmond Bane, both executing at a high level exactly when the team needed them most. And despite having numerous rotation players out, including star Jaren Jackson Jr., a lot of positive contributions up and down the roster, a welcome sight on this opening night, a Memphis Grizzlies victory.
He definitely rhymed there at the end. I don't know if he meant to do that, but
Bars.
The best backcourt in the NBA, Camille. I beg to differ.
That's a bold claim. The first one that came to mind was the team you covered with Kyrie and Luka. Like that's
just went to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, that's the first one that comes to mind. But arguably, I could see the Grizzlies backcourt being top 3 in the league. But saying they're the best just off rip, I don't know about that one. At least not yet. They're going to show me something with that one.
It's a tough one when you have the maybe second best, first best player in the NBA, and the other one is like this is like Kyrie, one of the most talented players in NBA history. It's
right.
kind of tough going against there. So I'm going to disagree with you on that, Joe, for sure. But the Grizzlies get this win. David Locke, Locked on Jazz, compiled some stats about Zach Edey, who fouled out in 15 minutes, got completely outplayed by Walker Kessler in this game. When Zach Edey was on the court, the Jazz shot 14 of 21. So they shot really well when Edey was on the court, like really good. And then when Edey was off the court, they shot 16 of 43. What did you think about Zach Edey fouling out and apparently not affecting shooting in this game?
What I thought about was my prize picks lineup not hitting because Zach Edey didn't come through with my rebound.
Should I put the banner back up?
yeah, prize picks.
$50 instantly when you could have got your $50 still.
But no, like it's going to be some learning pains for Zach Edey. It's not the preseason no more. It is not the preseason anymore.
Man, yeah, it just the parts of this game that I watched, it just seemed like he was getting out muscled and out moved by Kessler because there's a certain time where like the ball goes up and you got to be in the right position. And yeah, his last foul, he got out of position on a rebound, but to play only 15 minutes, actually less than 15 minutes, and then no Jaren Jackson Jr. in this game because he's obviously out. And so Jay Huff off the bench, 22 minutes for Jay Huff. I don't know that many people listening to this show could pick out Jay Huff in a lineup of like a bunch of 6'10 guys. Like,
if you said Jay Huff on a who he play for, Chuck, and then the guys they'd be like, "Wait, who?" You're making up players.
Home Depot. That's who. So he scored 13 points off the bench though. He made a contribution in this game. Absolutely,
he did. Efficient too.
Good for the Grizzlies. Also, I felt bad for our host of Locked On Pistons, Ku Cahill. The Pistons almost had a win. They were up by 7 in the fourth quarter, but they went 5 of 20 in the fourth. Cade was only 1 of 6 in the fourth quarter shooting. Benedict Mathurin on the Pacers had 14 in the fourth quarter. The Pacers get the win, but I want to hear from Ku Cahill about this Pistons game.
For the Detroit Pistons tonight in their home opener, in their season opener against the Indiana Pacers. Host of Locked On Pistons podcast, Ku Cahill here. The Detroit Pistons had a really good chance to win this game. They led for a lot of this game. Cade Cunningham went berserk in the third quarter, 18 points, 8 of 9 from the floor, and they just couldn't close it out. They couldn't get enough defensive stops in the fourth quarter. After a good defensive first half, they really just fell apart on the defensive end of the floor in the second half of this game. Pascal Siakam started to wake up. Miles Turner really started to make the Pistons pay in the pick and roll game. Instead of rolling, popping to the three-point line, really started to get them out of there in that third quarter. Pistons had some struggles guarding that action. And despite all that, it was a good game from the Detroit Pistons. But yet again, they just continue to show they can't, as of right now, close games. And they take an L during a game that was very winnable.
That's Ku Cahill of Locked On Pistons. This is what we see from these young teams, right? They stick with a team, and then you just can't close it out.
Yeah, and unfortunately for them, like who said, they were playing really well for most of the game. Like I was remarking on their defense, like, man, they're out here closing out. They're rotating really good. The communication looks good. And it just completely fell apart in the second half for them, especially coming after the fact that Cade had that big third quarter and you thought like they're about to put this away. They're getting momentum. And then the momentum completely stopped and the Pacers started looking more like the Pacers again.
We're still doing Count It Up, by the way. And my Count It Up for this one. Count it up. With 8 minutes, 15 seconds left in the fourth quarter, count up how many Pistons were on the court. There were 6 Pistons on the court. They got a violation. Ron Holland was exiting the game. He was walking to the bench and just like, somebody said something to him. He turns around and then he's in the corner. Like as he was going to the bench, he turns around. He's like, "I'm in the game. I'm back in the game now." And they got a violation for having 6 players on the court.
Listen, whoever was talking trash to make him turn back around, bravo! Like you did your job. You did your job.
Turn back around. He's like going to the bench, going to sit down. No, I'm back in the game. Oh, so funny. The Cavs destroyed the Raptors in this game, 136-106. In Toronto. Toronto missing a couple of players there, Kelly Olynyk, Bruce Brown, RJ Barrett. But the story of this game was Evan Mobley, Danny Cunningham, Locked On Cavs host, said Mobley was the best player on the floor. He had 25 points, 8 boards, 2 steals, 3 blocks. He hit a 3 and was plus 31. My question is, how much would a Evan Mobley leap mean for the Cavs, Camille?
Oh, it mean a lot. They really needed him to be somebody last year in the playoffs, especially. And it was like he was kind of shrinking in the moment where I was like, I'm not seeing too much growth for him. But if he can come out and be that dominant on both sides of the court, like that's going to bode really well for Cleveland.
They need him to be like mobile, like for lack of a better, like to be able to move and shift and do a bunch of different things, to play next to Jared Allen, to be a center, to do, to do some stuff on the perimeter, because they don't have a ton of wings, right? No Max Strus in this game. And so he gave them exactly what they needed in this game. It was good to see Evan Mobley have a really good game to start the season for the Cavs. Good look for the Cavs out there.
Yeah, it was. It
was not a good look for Nick Claxton, who got ejected from the Nets game for just clotheslining Dyson Daniels. He got a flagrant 2, got ejected from this game. But the Nets lose 116-120. Mission accomplished for the Nets for the first game. But I want to talk about Cam Thomas, the chucker of all chuckers. 36 points. I think the most in the night in the NBA tonight. Took 27 shots. I checked on FanDuel before this. He's plus 5,000 to lead the NBA in points per game. Count it up. My question is, can he get there?
I mean, he's going to have the green light. As we just said, 27 shots in the game. Like that.
They took the light out. It's a roundabout now. He's just got to go. He's got to
go. Continuously go. Like, it's all you. It's all, I mean, we know Ben Simmons ain't going to get up a lot of shots. Like, his only real count is going to be like Dennis Schroeder throughout the season of like, who's going to really be trying to get these shots up. So that might be some smart money.
Plus 5,000. I was actually surprised. The plus 5,000 for Cam Thomas. So go check that out on FanDuel if you want to see that. Trae Young, by the way, 30 points, 12 assists in this win. Onyeka Okongwu, 28 points off the bench for the Hawks.
Career high for him, I believe.
Thought it was a solid win for them. And then we'll see what happens with Okongwu. That's something to monitor going forward for sure.
Yeah.
Golden State Warriors get a win. The last game of the night, they get a win against, I think, an NBA team in the Portland Trailblazers. They this is a tough team to watch. Steph Curry finishes with just 17 points. You know when like Steph plays only 25 minutes, has 17 points, and they win? It felt like an old Warriors win where they just win when Steph didn't need to do much. But had 10 assists and 9 rebounds. Draymond Green doing too much, possibly. Gets a technical foul in the first half of the first game of the season. My question is, he needs 15 more to get a suspension. How long does he last?
Ooh. Right after All-Star break.
He gets it right after. I don't know if he
right
makes
after
it to
All-Star break.
I don't know if he makes it to All-Star break. Not with this.
Do you think
team.
it's earlier?
I think it's earlier. He already has 1. He just needs 15 more.
I mean, I know Draymond can Draymond. Like, this was on brand, but like,
we do podcasts. He needs the extra day to do the work. He needs the content. He needs the content to put in the show. He's got to have some kind of controversy.
Some exclusive controversy for the Draymond pod for sure.
A tech already. Moses Moody, by the way, 15 points off the bench after he got that extension. A lot of Warriors fans hoping for more minutes for him. I don't know that they're getting them. I don't know if they're getting those, but good contribution from him.
Yeah, I know. Kerr said initially like he wants a 10-man rotation. Then he was like, it's gonna be 12. I can't pick. So they're gonna be able to see some Moody get some minutes, but probably not as many as they want, as long as Kerr keeps this rotation at a 12-man rotation.
Last year I wrote up the Mavs rotation. I wrote up I think I wrote up 10, and I remember David Locke texting me after he saw that and was like, "No team wants to play 10-man rotation," and now the Warriors are going to play 12. 12.
Wow.
That's pretty nuts. That's the night in the NBA. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, comment below on anything that we talked about tonight. Talk about who was the best backcourt in the NBA. Go check out Locked On Bucks with Camille. Go check out Locked On Mavs. We all have newsletters covering our teams now. We each have one. I have one coming out. Every single thing you need to know about the Mavericks. Camille's got one coming out tomorrow for the Bucks, so subscribe to those. LockedOnDaily.com for those. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA Game Night. We'll be back tomorrow covering all the games every day, every night. Boom.